Hey everyone, it is time again to start looking at the stats because July has just finished and it's been interesting. Certainly from our perspective with the people that we've been working with, sale of buyers property conditions are definitely back on an offer we wrote, on an offer that we accepted because we were the listing agent. So on both sides of the transaction, we had sale of buyers properties. We're also starting to see properties falling out of being conditional and pending and going back to for sale. After like a good amount of time as well. This isn't like, 5 or 6 days and they're coming back on the market, which would suggest a financing or an inspection problem. These are like, after roughly 30 days, 35 days, 25 days, even 2 months, and they're coming back for sale. So that is absolutely a sign that it is not an inspection, it's not a financing problem, it's a sale of buyer's property problem. So that's the nutshell of what's really going on. But if you've not met me before and if you've not seen any of our videos, like where have you been? Because I am all over YouTube. So if you are thinking of moving here to Nova Scotia or Halifax area, if you're thinking that it's time to downsize, if you're thinking it's time to upsize, just change that location, then I've worked with hundreds of families and clients doing exactly the same thing that you are trying to do. So click on the link down below, schedule a call with me, and let's see if we can help you. But for now, let's get into the market stats. Right off the bat, I know it's the one thing that everybody always asks me about, and that is, what's the average price? Well, for the month of July, it hit $610,000. Now, go back to last month. Last month, it was at $655,000. So that's a $45,000, a 7% price drop from last month to this month. And I've been saying this for basically the whole of the year so far, which is we can't keep going up. Like, 655 was, I think, the highest in the year so far. 610 this month, that's actually the lowest of the one so far. But also, when we look at last year that number was 616. So we're not like that far off last year. But absolutely, if you look at last year, this month, July, look at this year, this month, July, you are down. I mean, it's only $6,000, so like, what's that? Probably like 0.1%, 1% maybe. So it's not a huge number, but it just shows that we have been doing this, like, pretty much since the start of the year. And this month is the first time that I've went, okay, it kind of makes a lot more sense now that we're kind of heading back down to 610. Now, who knows what August is going to bring, but being $45,000 down, 7% drop from last month to this month does show a real change. Now, the interesting thing again is that we are holding our list price to sale price pretty much the same. We're at like 99.6%, I think it is, or 99.9, actually 99.3%. Because I just put my glasses on and had a look at the piece of paper. But last month, that was 99.6. Last year, that was 100.2. So list price and sale price are still like holding pretty steady. And yeah, 99.3 is definitely like down a little bit. I think the number is $4,500. So it's not that much different. But we've been tracking this since the start of the year, and we've been kind of putting up the graphs and letting you all know what's been going on with price reductions to get from like, what did we originally list at versus what did I get down to a list price to then slide across and actually get the offer and get the property sold. And we've been in that kind of like $25,000, $30,000 in terms of an average drop across just the houses that did the drop. So it's not every house that's actually doing price drops here. It's just the ones that have to do the price drops because they clearly started too high. And don't forget, for all the sellers out there, there's only 3 things that will sell your house. It's the price, it's the location, and it's the condition. One of those you can't fix. You can't change where the house is. One of those you can fix. You can change the condition. It's just going to cost you some dollars. So then you get down to the only 3rd thing you can do, which is change the price. And if you're at the stage now where you're thinking of listing your house, that's one of our strategies, is to basically listen to the market in the first 10 to 14 days. It will tell you if you get those 3 things correct. Because if you get them correct, you'll have viewings, you'll have offers, you'll go conditional. Like, that's the way that the whole process works. Now, yes, there is absolutely some stuff before that is part of our 16-step marketing plan to get you the best price possible. So there is a lot more behind the scenes, but those are the 3 key factors for any seller anywhere that you have to nail to make sure you then get offers. Price reduction then. So going back to that number, $52,000 on average. Now, yes, there were some big price drops in there, and they were also on fairly big prices for the properties. But it still goes to show that, on average, and again, when we hit those top 3 markets, we'll give you the price drops for each of those top 3 markets as well. And if there is anything that you need in terms of what about my particular area, then again, click on the comment or send us a DM and we will get you the raw information just for your particular neighborhood, because we cover off, I think there's about 26 different MLS districts, and we could go on for hours, but that's not the plan. We're trying to get you that concise information. So if you're in that plan, and buyers, this goes for you as well, you need to understand just your specific market. You don't need to know what every single market in the whole of HRM is doing if you're just looking at Bedford, just Clayton Park, just Fall River. Those are the ones that you want to concentrate on because you need to get specific about your neighborhoods. So again, drop a link down below, send me a comment if you've got a specific interest in your area, and we'll get in touch and send you that specific information. So with a $52,000 price drop, that means that the average selling price, or the average listing price rather, was more in the $655,000, $660,000 price range versus where it is now, where we're talking about $614,000. Because $614,000 is the list price where they got the offer accepted. $610,000 is what they actually sold for. There's the $4,000 difference, the 99.3%. Moving on to the days on market, we are at 29 days on market. Last month that was 26, so a little bit worse, but 3 days, it's not that bad. Last year, 29 as well. So we're a fairly stable market. It's just the price at the moment is bouncing around a lot, as well as the price reductions. Houses sold was 454. Last month, 519. Last year, 442. So we're definitely down on how many houses we sold from last month, but fairly similar to last year. And throughout the whole of this year, actually, there's been kind of 4 or 5 metrics that have been really similar to last year. And certainly the amount of units sold, the days on market, and the inventory, just off the top of my head, are 3 of the ones that I know have been very similar this year, each month this year versus each month last year. So it shows that we're not changing too dramatically. It's just that price thing that's really changing from last year to this year. Then we look at the number of active listings, and that's 986 listings. So just a little bit shy of 1,000 listings that are actually for sale right now on the market. Last month, that was 995. Again, just a little bit shy of 1,000. Last year, though, that was only 856. So quite a bit, 150 houses short of that 1,000 number. So that goes to show that we are basically putting more listings on the market. Second thing is they're staying around longer because, of course, those days on market are kind of up in that basically 1 month range. And then when you look at the number of months of inventory, we're up to 2.2 months of inventory. Last month, 1.9. So last month, the number of active listings didn't really change, but we sold more. So therefore, that makes that calculation for the number of months inventory better last month, 1.9. This month, we're at 2.2. Last year, 1.9 as well. So again, you can see, it is changing a bit, but, we're still well under that 5 months on market, which is the balance situation. So still a strong seller's market. Looking into the sales to new listing ratios, they're all really similar, like this month, last year. So it's 83% this month, 82% last month, 81% last year. So again, that's the ratio of the new listings that come to the market versus the sales we actually made. So if we sold 454, there was only 544 that were put on the market, and that's down about 100 listings from the previous month. Hence, that's showing why our number of months of inventory is going up, because we basically didn't sell as many as last month, but the number of listings that were active on the market stayed the same, although we did drop by around about 90 homes in terms of new listings that were coming on the market. July is typically a little bit of a slower month for the Halifax market. August, we will expect a little bit of a bump to see if there are more listings coming on as people kind of get ready for that fall, September, October, November market. Plus, schools and things like that tend to factor into August. Looking at new construction now, because new construction has certainly been something that's driven our market quite a lot, and we've done a few videos, if you've not seen them already, on new construction neighborhoods, markets, and what's going on in particular spots, what's up and coming, etc., etc. But of all of those 400 and odd units that were actually sold this month, 41 of those were brand new construction. Now, the area-wise, the top two areas really were parks of Lake Charles, which is the new development over on the Bedford side, kind of like at the bottom of Waverley Road, and Lake Charles obviously is in front of it, but you're not on Lake Charles. So why is it called Parks of Lake Charles? Well, it's a bit of a marketing ploy. Parks of West Bedford, Parks of Lake Charles. Get the idea? So when you go over there were 8 houses in Parks of Lake Charles that were actually were actually sold, not necessarily completed because it's new construction, but that was the number one area. Second behind that then was Indigo Shores, and there was 5 in that area sold. 2 up in Fall River where I am in Kinloch Estates, and then there was also 2 in Brunello Estates as well. So that gives you an idea as to which are those top new construction neighborhoods that are actually having conditional and sold properties in there, even though they might not quite be ready for sale. Now, looking at the price again, because we focus a lot on that price. I mean, it's 610,000. That's a fairly hefty average number. But if we go back to, say, July 2022, when it was still like it was a hot market then, there was a lot going on. There was multiple offers going over asking price. That whole deal was going on in July 22. We're still 9.3% up on that particular year. So again, it's just showing that our price growth is not slowing down. And I've had this question from lots of people where they're kind of getting into that stage of going, I think the market's going to crash. I think it's going to slow down. I think mortgage rates are going to drop. Like so the mortgage rate announcement just yesterday was that the Bank of Canada held firm, didn't change the overnight rate at all. So mortgage rates are not changing. But also we did see a good price drop, obviously, for this month. But again, we're still above that $600,000 number. So yes, it went down a little bit, but also, it could just be a factor that there was quite a lot of over $1 million prices that were actually sold as well. So that's another factor to consider as well when you're looking at prices and properties is, well, okay, if a ton of properties over $1 million, $2 million, $3 million sold inside of HRN, that's going to drag the average up. And that really didn't happen, especially when you start looking at South End and places like that. Right, let's cover off our top neighborhoods because there was a change this month. Normally, it's always East Hants, Colchester West, it's Timberley, St. Margaret's Bay, Upper Tantallon, and then it's either Sackville or or Bedford. Well, not this time. 2 of them were the same, but the third one is different. So let's look at it. First of all, Timberley, Prospect, St. Margaret's Bay. Average price there was $646,000, roughly 1% underneath the listing price. 31 days on market, 42 sales in the month, 122 active, which gives you 2.9 months of inventory. And that's that's one of our busier markets, but it's also one of the markets that's got the higher months of inventory in there. And interestingly, that market actually had to do an average of a $50,000 price drop on the ones that did have to reduce the price to get the sale. It was an average of $50,000, and that's a big price drop. So absolutely in that market, there was somebody that was getting it wrong in terms of what they listed that price for initially on the market. Off to number 2, we are in Sackville. Now, Sackville average price there, $502,000, 2% over asking, which equates to roughly $10,000. 17 days on market, which is, for Lower Sackville, is actually a little bit higher than I expected. Lower Sackville usually is 10 days or less because stuff there goes super quick. 41 sales in the month, 31 properties actually up for sale right now, which gives them less than a month's inventory, 0.8 months. And, for a sure, at an average of just $500,000, that Lower Sackville and all of the amenities it offers, the transport, the infrastructure, the shopping, the cinemas, the restaurants, everything it's no surprise that Sackville is always popular with buyers. And then here's that surprise, the third market, we're into Woodside, Eastern Passage and Cow Bay area over in Dartmouth, which is kind of that area at the very bottom of Dartmouth before it then starts kind of like hooking back up and going over towards Porters Lake area on Lawrencetown. Average sale price there, $496,000, which is quite a bit up there for, well, I mean, I suppose it depends how many properties in Eastern Passage actually sold. It could be a little bit more of the Cow Bay area because those ones certainly you can get some higher price properties there. But that equated to $9,000 over asking price with 18 days on market, 31 sales there. Only 14 houses actually for sale, which gives half a month of inventory because Eastern Passage in particular is very popular, usually a much lower price point, kind of hitting in the like mid fours, something like that. But once you throw in Cow Bay and maybe there was something going on in Woodside as well, that kind of brought the average up. Now their average price drop they had to do was $16,000 to actually make sure that they went from listed to conditional and then to sold. So that wraps up all of the top 3 markets. Now, again, if you have any questions on your specific market, then definitely click the link down below, schedule a time, and we can help you. And if you're moving here, if you're from other provinces, from the UK, if you're just moving in or around Halifax and you want to get an idea on how much could you sell your house for and where should I move to, then definitely that is the area that we specialize in, and we've helped a lot of people do the same thing in exactly your situation. So drop us a comment down below. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up and the subscribe, and watch out for a lot more videos coming. Or you can just go back and look at all the videos we've already done and start binge watching on those as well.